Majora's Mask released in North America on October 26, 2000. It's the second game in the 3D Zelda lineage, and is a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time. Made on a shorter dev timeline, it was also subject to expectations like no other. It had to of course follow up Ocarina of Time, an industry-defining giant, but also compete against a whole new console in Sony's PlayStation 2, which was slated to release the very same day. Tag along the looming GameCube, the new Nintendo system, it had to give the N64 a deserved send-off. Majora's Mask had a lot of eyes on it. So, how did it do? Well, as someone who is new to the Zelda series and Nintendo in general, I aim to answer that very question, about 25 years later. I'll cut to the chase. Majora's Mask is a better version of Ocarina of Time in mechanics and world building. That's not an insult to Ocarina, rather a compliment to Majora's. It takes the foundational blocks Ocarina built for Zelda and ups the ante. Let me explain first by talking about the art style and theme. It's so much more creepy. The wells and Shadow Temple were the most horror-esque portions of Ocarina, compared to a more grand and open theme for the rest of the game. Majora's Mask is all creepy, all ominous, and all dread. From the start screen cutscene, you're welcomed by a creepy laugh and a weird-looking man gleefully smiling at a floating mask. It then cuts to a happy little town who seems to be in preparation for something. The music at first is full of cheer and hope, but as soon as you get comfortable, it changes. You see in the distance an insidious face on the moon who seems to have a hateful gaze on the happy townsfolk. The music is now full of anger and melancholy. It changes so abruptly, you can feel the hair stand up on the back of your neck. Here, take a listen for yourself. If I wanted to showcase Majora's Mask's art style in one fell go, this is what I would do. Art style and theme, of course, are subjective, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about how it is presented and showcased to the player. It's in your face. It doesn't hesitate to let you know how it wants you to feel, from the moon coming closer and closer to everything being immediately hostile to you. You're attacked in the beginning by a creepy looking skull boy who takes your horse and turns you into a Deku in this insidious cutscene that makes you feel claustrophobic as your personal space and autonomy are violated. The small kids in Clocktown won't play with you until you prove yourself to them. People in town won't interact with you beyond what they need. When you try to escape in this form, the guards block you, adding to the feeling of isolation. This is what I mean. Majora's Mask is hostile and vicious with its theme. It's in your face at all times, and there's nothing you can do but deal with it. Of course, a game isn't just its art style, it's the gameplay too, and some would even say it's primarily the gameplay. So what does Majora's Mask's gameplay have for us? Well, for starters, it's a much shorter game than Ocarina, and more concise. You have 5 primary areas: Clocktown, the main hub where the shops are, the swamps to the south containing the Deku and monkeys with the river cruise, the north which has frigid mountains, the Goron village and a crafter duel, the west which is home to the Zoras and Gerudo pirates, and finally, the abandoned, desolate and haunted Ikana Canyon to the east. Let's start with how you get to Clocktown and how it sets up the player for their grand adventure. The game opens with Link strolling through what looks like the Lost Woods. He's attacked by a boy named Skullboy and his 2 fairy friends. They take the ocarina, a gift from Zelda, and steal your horse as Link tries to chase them. He follows them through the forest, then falls down into a vortex within a tree. Shortly after, he's turned into a Deku by the Skullboy. Link, helpless in his new form, is abandoned along with one of the fairy friends who has been left behind. But quick to action as he is, he gets a move on and tries to still catch up to the Skullboy. He soon meets a creepy looking merchant who is actually from the first game, the Mask Seller. The Mask Seller seems to know of Link's predicament and offers him a deal. Retrieve the item he needs from the Skullboy and he will show him how to return to his human form. Link, with no other option, takes this offer and has 3 days to retrieve the item. After some trials and tribulations with the townsfolk, he finally retrieves the ocarina. Upon picking it up, he has a vision of Zelda, who tells him to play the Song of Time. Link does just that, and you return to the dawn of the first day. And with that, the first, huh? Moment of the game happens. This introduction to the game sets it up perfectly. We're transported to this land of Termina, where we see many familiar faces. It seems like a lot of the townsfolk from Hyrule have taken refuge here, so you seem just at home for the time. But there's an ominous feeling to it all. For one, the route you took to get here was pitch black. There is verticality to it and a grand open feeling, like you were traveling through a black hole, or like you fell through the earth and ended up in a strange dimension that is trying to mimic the land from which you once came. There are many familiar faces here, like Inga, a ranch hand from the Lon Lon Ranch, the Carpenters, and the ever so lovely Great Fairy. But at the same time, everything feels foreign. It doesn't seem like they came here from far away, just that they were here all along. They're all talking and prepping about a festival which is bound to happen. It gives them a sort of legacy in the town that disturbs the familiar feeling you have towards them. I mean, how long has Inga been here? Wasn't he in Lon Lon Ranch just a while back? What is the mask seller doing here? And why isn't he out here with the rest of the townsfolk? Why doesn't at least one of these people recognize you? But chief amongst all these discrepancies is the moon. It has a face on it and not a friendly one. With every passing moment, it seems larger and larger. But here's the biggest source of anxiety. Nobody seems to notice it but you. There are rumors that the moon will fall on the town, but nobody ever talks about the face it has. Has it always been there? It's almost as if the world itself is taunting you to notice there's something wrong. It all feels like an episode out of the Twilight Zone. Like a painting that is ever so slightly crooked, you don't notice it, but there's this feeling in the back of your mind that there's something not quite straight about it. There's a cosmic sort of mystery to it all. Beyond the weirdness, Clocktown is a very lively place for those ignoring the creepiness of the world. The people are energetic and working, shops are open, and the shopkeepers seem eager to please. Love is in the air, and there are kids playing outside. Hell, there's even a bit of crime at night to add to the realness. It's quite the place to be, and Nintendo did a great job making it feel lived in. Being a Deku and having the limitation of not being able to leave Clocktown is isolating, but the trade-off is forcing you to explore Clocktown in an organic way. It's a great way to get the player to interact with the world before they go off on a new path. The architecture is also striking. Nowhere in Ocarina of Time did I see architecture like the Clock Tower. Tall and grand castles exist in Hyrule, sure, but the Clock Tower just has a different feeling to it. If Hyrule is Earth, Termina feels like Mars. It has so much movement to it that it feels like a living entity rather than just a structure in the town. You can also stargaze in the astronomy lab, but not before you go through the sewers filled with spiders. The astronomy lab itself is very beautiful. It has rich coloring and a height to it that is not really matched except by the clock tower itself. All in all, Clocktown is a bustling little place that welcomes you with open arms. Almost too open that it feels off. There's also the matter of the rewind. Once you've played the Song of Time, you end up at the dawn of the first day of when you first arrived here. Time has seriously reversed and you can't exactly explain why. You see, Majora's Mask works on a 3-day time limit. Whatever task you have to do has to be completed in 3 in-game days. There are ways to slow down the passage of time, but you still have a forever time limit to whatever you're doing. This was the first gripe I have with the game. I hate timed things. I feel like it takes away from the creativity and the breadth of the challenge because you introduce a restraint that's not even fun to do. Timed things are often challenging, but not the good type of challenge, like a puzzle in a room or a great boss fight. It's just an anxiety inducer. Granted, Majora's allows you to play around with its difficulty, but it still structures the game around it. And you know what, to some extent I forgive it. The time mechanic doesn't just exist as a gag here to introduce fake challenge. It's a part of the world and theme. Why does time work like this here, you ask? What is with the 3-day limit? What does the masked man know that you don't? Why is it that you and your fairy are the only ones who notice the time rewind? In these contexts, I can actually appreciate the challenge it brings because it serves a greater purpose than to just annoy you. With the 3-day limit of Majora's Mask explained, we can move on from Clock Tower and delve into the surrounding areas. After returning to the first day, Link sees the mask seller only for him to assume that Link has what he needs. This is weird considering everyone else but you and the fairy you accompany felt the time shift. He's the only one outside of you two that kind of notices it. I say this because he only interacts in this manner once you've performed the time rewind. The goofball he teaches you how to return to your human form by giving you the Song of Healing before realizing you still haven't retrieved what he wants, although he does explain what it is. It's the mask the Skullboy is wearing. It's from a tribe called the Majora, and it has ancient and powerful abilities. Turns out, he was robbed by the Skullboy too and needs it back. With no real options and a wish to get back at the Skullboy, you have no choice but to help him. The fairy that stayed with the Skullboy instructed you to go to the swamp, mountains, ocean, and canyon. Those are the 4 paths to choose from. Let's start with the swamp. The swamp is very beautiful and luscious. There was nothing like this in the previous entry, so to see this is a real eye-catcher. It has a very South American Mayan feel to it, and I don't think that's by mistake. The architecture, especially the temple here, is very Mayan pyramid-esque. The cruise that you take is such a welcome little detail, especially with how it opens up the area for you. The swamp also does a great job in setting up expectations. In Majora's Mask, the area before the temple is a dungeon just as much the dungeon is a dungeon. You first have to interact and solve problems for the local folks in the vicinity. You find the twin wish sisters here, who you thought you saw die in Spirit Temple in Ocarina, but I guess here they are. Is this like a purgatory realm? These sisters and their troubles are integral to starting the quest here. They lead you to the monkeys who lead you to the Deku King who eventually lead you to the temple. The temple itself, as I mentioned, is similar to a Mayan pyramid from the outside. Inside, it is grand and luscious as a temple can be, and keeps that South American theme going. The music sounds like a chant. Take a listen. A bit jarring to the ears, but sets up the atmosphere very well. Even the enemies here kinda just remind me of the Amazon. Massive dragonflies, killer plants, and this lizard duo. It has many plants and running water, but is mostly compiled of stone. It kinda feels like an Indiana Jones set, if you know what I mean. It is much more difficult than anything Ocarina had, but not so much so that you feel like it's impossible. The puzzles are well thought out and are intuitive, unlike some portions in Ocarina. Looking at you, First Temple Elevator Room. It utilizes the Deku mask to its extent, and similar to the swamp itself, sets up expectations for the masks in the dungeon. It also has fairies running around the temple that you can collect to reorganize the Great Fairy right outside of the temple entrance. This is a great side quest to each dungeon that gives you something else to look out for. My initial run here was cut short by the 3-day cycle. I didn't much understand it at this point and just assumed I would figure it out later. And boy did I figure it out! I had cleared the temple completely, besides the boss, and had 5 minutes counting down. I hit the Song of Time, and voila, I have to redo most of it. It's a tough lesson to learn, but boy did I learn to manage my time better after this. The boss here is rather simple, but visually interesting. It looks like a Mayan warrior, and reminded me of Ogre from Tekken, who was also based off ancient South and Central American cultures. He's tall, imposing, and fast. Use the Deku mask to hide in the plants, bait him, knock him out, then bomb him. That's the fight. Fun boss fight, nothing to really write home about, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. I'd like to add that the main thing I noticed immediately in this first dungeon is that the combat is much more meaningful. In Ocarina, there was a lot of waiting around that it sometimes felt like a turn-based game. But in Majora's, it feels pretty even. It's more action and I really like that. After beating the boss, you receive his mask as a reward. Pick it up and you are transported to this realm and talk to this strange tall creature in the distance. This all adds to the mystery of the world. What are these things? They look hideous and scary. They speak in this weird tone that sounds so foreign. It all adds to the intrigue. But as soon as you see them, you're taken away and instructed to go to the mountaintops. The mountaintops themselves are very bland. It's a snow-covered landscape with no greenery or visual change. This blandness, though, is done on purpose to showcase how one-note life has become here. It's all about survival. Everyone's just trying to survive here, and worrying about the beauty of their landscape isn't a priority. They're so lost in survival that a father is forced to leave his child alone in their own home. The mountaintops explore isolation. The frigid landscape gives off a feeling of aloneness. You meet two Gorons on the top of this cliff only to find out that one of them is frozen over, leaving the other one alone. There's another Goron that is just alone on the top of another cliff, with no one to comfort him. Darmani is laid to rest alone in this cave. The legendary hero he is for the Gorons, he's left to wander the landscape as a ghost, isolated from his purpose. That is, until you get here and set things right. With the arrival of Link, the process of healing can begin. First, the land must heal. Link must find out where he needs to go to heal the mountaintops, and the people that exist here help him. From beyond the grave in Darmani's case, they must all band together, helping him to help themselves. And there's only one way to do this. Defeat the monster in Snowfall Temple. Snowfall Temple is an interesting dungeon. It's a fire temple clouded in snow. Much like Termina is to Hyrule, this dungeon is to fire temples. It's quite tall and slender and has many levels. Almost too many, considering how many times I fell during this Goron puzzle and had to retrace my steps. This is a good time to talk about the Goron mask. As a Goron, you're basically Sonic. You have this great moveset and strong punches, amazing defense, and of course, the roll and stroll. The Goron ended up being my favorite mask because of its versatility. It's such a treasure to use and really makes me wish for a new Sonic game that adds the speed back into the series. But getting back to Zelda, Snowfall Temple is a frigid and cold place that you quite literally have to melt. You find the fire arrows here after fighting a new enemy type in this Djinn that hides and conceals its attacks. I love enemies like this that make me think before hitting them. I welcome enemy types like this that sort of make me mad, but not at them, more so myself. I know that this enemy is repeated in the game and a lot of people don't like that, but I personally always liked fighting him. He gave me a decent challenge and doesn't respawn to become too annoying, unless you of course rewind time. The boss here is my favorite in the game, for the same reasons I love the Goron mask. It's just a speed fest. And bump into this guy. He falls down and we just send it up his ass. The speed of the fight, the way you need to dodge his attacks, the heights you can reach, dodging the bombs he drops, it's all so exhilarating. Beating him grants you another mask and you again see these tall creatures in a separate realm that relay some message to you. And yep, they're just as creepy as before. The mountaintops also have a crafter duo who can upgrade your sword if you give them gold dust. This gold dust is hidden behind two quests. One is retrieving a powder keg and delivering it to open up the racetracks. The second is the racetracks themselves, where it's time to race other Gorons. I loved this minigame, for the same reasons I love the boss. I love going fast and racing. It also gives such a meaningful post-story to the mountaintop Gorons. I love when games do this. To see them happy and going about their region gives the player a sense of progression and weight in the world. The ocean region is quite scenic. It's a standard beach with the ocean reaching very far. You can see a sort of fish-looking structure in the distance being swirled by something. In Majora's Mask, each region seems to represent something. The mountaintops, of course, the survival aspect of the story. The swamp represents corruption as the water that is life-giving becomes life-taking. The ocean is hard to pin down. It's similar to the swamp because of the presence of water, but it's not corrupted. It's similar to the mountaintops in the sense that it is isolated from the rest of the world, except if you have a horse. But I think I understand what the ocean is representing. It's the calm before the storm, a fake sense that everything is okay, but when you dig down, you realize how troubled it all is. You see, on the surface, the ocean is calm and serene, and quite a relaxing spot. But listen to the music. It's quite dark and disturbing. For an area so scenic, the music is haunting. To get here, you need Epona. Retrieve her from Romani Ranch and set off to the ocean. Once you get here, you have the option of going to the structure you see in front of you. It's a lab, and you learn that 7 Zora eggs were stolen from here and need to be brought back as they hatch together. I appreciate this style of hint or nudging the player towards an objective because it gives enough to go on a trail, but not answer right away. You leave the lab and notice a drowning Zora. Talk to him and he is Mikau of the Indiegogo band, who's set to perform at the carnival in Clocktown. Surprisingly, Mikau dies in your interaction with him. He actually dies, like D-I-E die. I know things die in this game all the time when you kill them, but death in this form I never saw, and it really struck me. He was looking for Zora eggs so that Lulu, the lead singer, could get her voice back. From beyond the grave, like Darmani, he gives us his mask and with it the abilities of the Zora. It's now our job to retrieve the eggs. We also assume his identity. The Zora transformation is peculiar, from the way it moves to how it interacts with the world and the ocean region. It's hard not to notice how much of a response it is to the iron boots from Ocarina. To give you a recap, the iron boots in Ocarina let you sink down to the floor of a watery area. The Zora mask does this very same thing. It also allows you to breathe underwater like the blue tunic in Ocarina. Both of those tools were crucial in the water temple there. The Zora mask is their answer to a lot of the complaints levied at the water temple. Watch the water temple section in my previous video on the channel to know more of my thoughts, but I didn't like it. What they've done here is expand the underwater moveset, have made moving really fluid underwater with the dive and propelling system. You have new attacks in this Zorari, and the boomerang makes a comeback in this form as well. You also have a charged electric force field that uses the magic meter. I found out about this later because I am bad at reading. The piranhas in the ocean show up randomly to mess your day up, and this electricity was the answer. But I didn't use it until I raged at the boss for the temple here and discovered it. More on that later. The ocean first forces you to explore the whole region to find the eggs you have to put into bottles. At this point, I had 2 bottles, but there's a minigame here that gives you another one. It's a good time to talk about it. I really enjoyed it. It's a race against time Superman 64 style where you go through these rings. You have to do it twice, racing against the best characters ever put to pen with the Beaver Brothers. I mean, look at them. I love how Nintendo does this because again, like the mountaintops, it adds a whole new layer to the world around the existing one. Getting back to egg hunting, 3 eggs are found in the Gerudo Pirate Fortress. It's a stealth mini dungeon where you need to carefully move around the Gerudo to retrieve the eggs in the bottles. There's also 3 fights here against armed Gerudo that are just reskins and not very difficult. I wish they made this area more challenging. I just resorted to shooting them unconscious and running around them. It feels more like a goose chase than a stealth encounter, but I understand that the camera is so limiting when trying to design a stealth encounter. The remaining 3 eggs are in Pinnacle Rock. To get them, you need a gold seahorse from the fish trader who can navigate for you in strong currents underwater. Okay, so to get this seahorse, you need to do some creepy shit. Namely, take a picture of one of the Gerudo pirates and trade it to the fisherman. There's also this creepy dude trying to sneak a glimpse of Lulu's room and another guy asking for intimate pictures of her. Man, if there was ever something that is a product of its time, then this is it. With today's climate around this sort of topic, I couldn't help but laugh at how bad this looks. I mean this in a very, wow man, look at that sort of way, and not a super judgmental, holier than thou way. I just wanted to comment on it because I found it so funny and messed up. Anyways, snap a picture of an unconscious Gerudo pirate and we can continue the game. Pause for a moment there, good lord. Once you get to Pinnacle Rock, you have to kill the sea serpents. What is a sea serpent, you may ask? Well, here you go. Yeah, that thing is a sea serpent. When I first saw this come out of the hole, I was jump scared. It was so huge and imposing. But turns out, it dies very fast. In some of these holes, you can find the remaining eggs, bottle them up and send them to the lab. With all 7 eggs, you can now enter the temple using the Great Wave Bossa Nova and ride this giant turtle. The ocean region was very fun. I remember it quite well because of some frustrations, but also with how huge and freeing it felt. The Zora mask is really cool. Before writing this script, I was actually pretty mad about my experience in the Great Bay Temple and thought it was because of the Zora mask, but not really. It's the temple itself. The Zora mask was a great addition and answers a lot of questions that I had against the water temple in the past. Those being, why is there so much menuing? Why am I restricted underwater? Why are these underwater puzzles so boring in one note? The Zora mask pretty much answers those very well. No more menuing, as you can equip and unequip the mask pretty quickly. With the new moveset underwater, you don't feel as restricted. The puzzles can now be more interesting because of this new moveset and the ice arrows we get in the temple. I want to give kudos to the devs for actually taking that feedback and improving the experience while not jeopardizing their vision of using underwater as a dungeon. Too many people nowadays would just scrap their vision because it made people mad. It's a different thing to incorporate it, respond to it, while maintaining your creative vision. You get to the Great Bay Temple, and it's, you guessed it, the Water Temple, back in all its glory. I have a lot of thoughts on the Great Bay Temple. First, it should be called the Great Bay Factory. It's so mechanical, it's so industrial, it's so not Zelda? I know I just started playing these games, but everything in here feels like it should belong in a steampunk or Final Fantasy setting. Not high fantasy, which is what I think Zelda is. So from the very beginning, it feels off to me. Secondly, it's such an improvement to the Water Temple, it's actually crazy. Or at least it seems like to me. I mean, the whole thing takes place underwater except some shorter sections. Funnily enough, my favorite puzzle in the dungeon takes place entirely out of the water. That's not an insult or critique, just an observation. So many puzzles bring you under the water until you have to flip these switches outside to finish the puzzle. The main corridor in this level is this gigantic spinning generator fan that causes the flow of the water to be one way. You have to reverse the flow to be able to complete the rooms because the flow of the water restricts access to certain areas. I found that to be pretty interesting, as even the flow switching is related to something with the water. Not a button you press or lever you pull, nope, shooting falling water and it will change the flow. It's an engineering marvel. My favorite thing about this temple was how you can create makeshift platforms using the ice arrow, which is needed to solve some puzzles. The difficulty here is also amped up a bit, as you need to use some of your own intuition to solve the puzzles. It took me a while to figure out that the ice arrows can create ice platforms and stop the flowing water from above. There's a room blocked by falling water, and I initially thought the way to get up there is by stopping the generator, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Rather, it's just freezing it up completely. My favorite parts of the dungeon were where you could freely move as the Zora, which luckily enough is most of it. As I write this, I'm surprised by how much I liked it versus didn't. I have my complaints though. Mainly, the enemy variety is just annoying. The piranhas aren't very fun to fight. These hand plants are just annoying and don't do damage. I know they're here to prevent you from moving too far accidentally, but couldn't they have made the animation a little shorter? My biggest gripe though is the boss. Before that though, we have mini bosses. The Eye mini boss was very annoying to fight as the Zora. I think you can fight as normal Link, but I think the Zora boomerangs were the intended way. They come back to you so slowly, and you can't even use your base moveset while they're in flight. I found that to be very limiting. You also have to attack once before you charge the boomerang, which is annoying because it adds a buffer. The room is quite claustrophobic, and I found it hard to lock onto the current enemy with the bubbles around me. I didn't like this fight because of that. For all its perks, the Zora moveset is a bit slow and wonky. This fight really shows it. The other mini boss is a repeat one. It's another frog we have to beat up. This time he uses the bubbles around him as a platform to squish you. He jumps up to the roof and you have to freeze him to get him to fall and shoot him with an arrow to eventually kill him. It was more boring than interesting because of the one-note nature of the fight. Not much thinking is required. The boss here is my least favorite. The camera is your enemy. At some points, you want to run to the corners to grab the green potions to refill your magic meter, but the boss is chasing you to eat you up. This grab does a lot of damage, but I can never anticipate it because the boss is always behind me, and the camera doesn't really allow you to look behind you as you're moving forward. It's a very frustrating thing to deal with. The boss itself isn't so hard. Just hit it with the boomerangs and then beat it up. Everything surrounding it is annoying. The way it moves, the piranhas it spawns, running out of magic over and over and having to get it back. It feels very disengaging. The mountaintops fight felt very engaging because you could chase the boss down, but also grab the pots while you did it. Here, you have to disengage from the boss to get your meter back. I didn't enjoy this fight. From what I hear, in the 3DS remake, they changed it, so I guess they agreed too. Funnily enough, it's still something the Water Temple does that rubs me the wrong way. After you beat the boss, you know the drill. Teleport to a different realm, talk to another tall, weird humanoid creature that says something in a different language, teleport back, and rewind time. It's now time for Ikana Canyon. Ikana Canyon is very spooky. I love spooky stuff. Halloween is my favorite time of year, and this area screams October 31st. You arrive here first by getting the Guido mask from a horse race against the two Inga brothers. They're as creepy as can be, and the horse race is not too bad. Epona still kicks ass. Arriving in the little village is very eerie. Everything is dead. The history of this land is told in the Ikana graveyard, where an undead general tells you about the war of the Ikana with the neighboring Garo that resulted in the destruction of both kingdoms. Ikana represents Termina's future. Whatever is at the heart of the issue here, if nothing is done, then doom is all that awaits. Misery begets misery, and nothing shows it better than the state you find this place in. In the middle of the village is a house with a speaker attached to it. Inside is a little girl who won't let you inside. Smart girl, stranger danger and all. You can wear the Garo mask and get hints by defeating the remnants of the Garo assassins. They tell you that the girl heads to the well every day at a specific time, and that will be your chance to get into her house. You first need to restore the river by banishing the ghost who is preventing its flow. You get the song to do this from his brother in the graveyard, and they are the same brothers you see in the graveyard in Ocarina. While she's out, you snoop around and find out that there's a mummy or re-dead inside the basement. Or is it a re-dead? It looks suspiciously human. Play the song of healing, and perhaps the most heart-wrenching cutscene plays. It's the girl's father, and she has been trying to heal him. They embrace each other, and your fairy friend tells you to give him some space. This scene gives Majora's Mask such a weight that I can't describe it. Nobody asked for something like this, but they delivered it. It's a heartfelt moment. Healing the scientist gives you a re-dead mask, and with that, you head to the well. The well is maze-like. The re-dead mask is crucial here because without it, the re-deads will attack you. With it, the re-deads ask for offerings, which can be various items throughout the game. To get in, you need to first get things from other regions like the plants that float once watered, but beyond that, you can find everything inside the dungeon itself. There's not much to talk about here beyond what I've just said. It's a mini dungeon where you're just looking for offerings and matching it up with the correct re-dead. At the end, you get a shield that reflects light. Hey, I remember you. Although it seems like you got a makeover. After getting the shield, you get into Ikana Castle and watch these re-deads breakdance. Once you've had your fill, we can start moving on. Ikana Castle requires this shield as it's all light puzzles. The only outside equipment is the powder keg, which is just a teleport away. What I really love about Ikana Castle is how they teach you that the light that is reflected from the shield can be redirected towards enemies to damage them. This is taught very well in just basic movement around enemies before heading to the boss. The boss here is great. The room is lit up so well, then the curtains close. It's a clear indication that we need to let there be light. But how? Oh wait, burn the curtains. Take the fire arrows out and burn them down. A hilarious reaction plays from the king, and you can now burn his two henchmen you're fighting, with the light from your shield. He gets up himself, but he's even more of a pushover. Once you beat them, the king pleads with you to stop whatever it is inside Stone Tower Temple. He tells you that to succeed, you need something of yourself. Something that looks like you and resembles you. Dark Link? Do I get to play as Dark Link? He was really cool in Ocarina, and do we get him again? Huh? What the hell is that? Whatever, man. On to Stone Tower Temple. Stone Tower was very intriguing. Much like Ganon's castle in the previous game, it uses all the tools at your disposal to complete. It's quite a smaller dungeon than the rest, owing to only 2 floors, but this quickly changes when you realize you can flip the temple upside down. This creates 2 more floors that add to the length and make it on par to the rest. Stone Tower isn't that difficult. It also is visually not that interesting. The areas surrounding it are very interesting. Stone Tower is just a playground compared to them. The best part about it is its fights. It has a cool fight with the boss at the end where you go Giganto and fight massive centipedes Dune style. A fight against the Grim Reaper type of enemy, and a fight against a Super Garo assassin. I will say that the dungeon itself is very well designed, albeit one room where the solution was rather unintuitive. You have to bomb the roof of the room from outside, but there's no indication, or at least a clear indication that the roof is outside. Very confusing, but beyond that, the temple was fun. The presentation? Not so much. It's just brick and some designs on it that don't scream out to you. Compare this to the Great Bay Temple, or the factory, which for all its faults, still looks visually interesting. You may not like it, but it has a visual design, whereas the Stone Tower Temple, to me at least, just looks bland. I wish they kept the theming of the rest of the canyon or the area before it. That area had an ancient feel to it. It looked dilapidated and crumbling with the rocks falling over. To walk into the dungeon with running water and almost perfect architecture, it really took away from the experience in my opinion. The dungeon flip at least was very cool. Throughout the level, the dungeon has doors that are suspended in the air, deku plants are upside down, chests that spawn on the roof. It all points to a flip coming, and when the flip does happen, the dungeon becomes more interesting. The puzzles are better that actually utilize the flipping. The enemy type gets better as well, and you get a haunting element that elevates the dungeon atmosphere. I mean, the simple lighting change from a yellow reddish hue of sunlight to the pale blue of the darkness does it for me in terms of atmosphere improvements. To me, the boss is really a treat. I think a lot of people write it off as gimmicky, but I enjoy the gimmick very much. Immediately after entering, I put the giant mask on and saw Link transform into a giant. Start swinging your sword around and killing these worms and you might as well call yourself Lisan El Gaib. The boss itself isn't hard. It barely attacks you, rather you attack yourself by running into it over and over. In my first run, I ran out of energy and had to use my arrows, and I was running pretty low. With my last arrow, I hit a pot shot and killed the second centipede. I don't know how else I would have beaten this boss, but here we are and I'm not complaining. Finally, with all 4 boss masks, we can head to Skullboy. We need to move forward in time to the eve of the carnival and head inside the clock tower. Link confronts the Skullboy and manages to remove the mask from him. He's released, but surprise surprise, the mask is alive. It heads into the moon and starts sending it to Clocktown. Here is where the 4 humanoid creatures you kept seeing after the dungeon show up. They are tall, slender, and look like Dr. Phil. They hold the moon up as Link enters it. We get to the moon tower. Absolutely breathtaking shot. It's such a shake-up from the game's general theme. It looks like a desktop background for Windows XP. I mean, what can I say, just look at it. With the kids playing in white robes, asking for my mask, it set a somber atmosphere. Majora sitting in the middle disrupts the joyfulness of the other children, who all are wearing the masks of the 4 cardinal direction bosses. I think this scene illustrates Skullboy or Majora's motivations. He's left alone, no one to play with, no one to be a friend with or for. He has an incredible rage inside of him, which is showcased by the outer shell of the moon. He hides his inner pain with outer rage. The moon is just a vessel for his trauma, and he intends to inflict it upon everyone else. Once you offer to play with him, he attacks you. Why? Why would he attack the one person who wants to actually offer companionship? I believe it's because he's testing you. He's gotten it into his head that he hurts everyone around him, and that the only way he can interact with somebody else is through pain. So he embraces this in the final moments of the game and attacks you. Will you still be there for him after all the pain and suffering he has inflicted on you? And in his twisted perception of reality, even the other children, represented by the masks, attack you and join in. I believe this is him communicating how he felt attacked and left aside by the other children. A taste of their own medicine. Essentially, he's a child lashing out. Nothing portrays this better than the next phase of the fight, where he literally lashes out and throws a temper tantrum as an attack. He then runs around the arena like a manic child on a sugar rush, only stopping when you attack him. In his final phase, he finally showcases his true feelings. An inescapable wrath, as the boss is named. In this phase, he shows you what he intends to become. His future, if you will. Especially with how the game plays with time. He has whips, an instrument of torture and pain. He's all grown up as well, and is a hulking monstrosity of a man whose eyes show nothing but rage and anger, which of course hides pain. This final phase is a desperate cry for help. Stop him and stop this future that can come to pass. It's no wonder it's the final phase of the fight, and then the game ends. This whole fight is a masterpiece in storytelling done through gameplay. I can't give Nintendo props enough. Even the way they initiated it. It's play. Play as in children, of course, but also play as a performance. It's just a really great moment. Before playing Ocarina of Time, my first Zelda game, I still knew about Majora's Mask and the internet memes like the famous creepypasta. I had heard about how players missed the style Zelda game and how they haven't done anything like it again. I think I now know what they mean. It's the story. It's such a rich and meaningful tale of trauma and how it warps the mind and what it can do to a person. Take a fun-loving little child and have them wishing for the end of the world. It makes you think in more ways than just how to solve a puzzle or what's my next objective. At the end screen, I sat there and really thought about Majora in that moon tree. How he's cowering down and he looks tired and lonely. I think we all can see ourselves in that. Link is a courageous, larger-than-life hero we all aspire to be, but no, we can never truly become. Zelda is a princess. She's royalty. She's from a strata of society that most people don't interact with, let alone live as. Ganondorf is a force of nature. He doesn't represent a human evil, rather an earthquake or a tornado. Majora does represent you. The way he lashes out, expresses anger, and treats the world, we all can empathize and kind of see ourselves in him. A lot of folks say that Majora's Mask isn't complete without the side quests. I tried doing some, but found the waiting around distasteful. But you know what? I still really enjoyed the game. I found the main dungeon content and story plenty satisfying. I don't deny that doing the side quest makes for a more complete experience, but I'm not looking for a complete experience, rather a good and meaningful time with the game. And I felt I got that with the way I played it. Maybe someday I'll replay Majora's Mask and try to 100%, but for right now, I feel very lucky to have played it. I also want to add that I like Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time. Ocarina feels like an achievement in gaming, and it absolutely is. It set the stage for so many games of its kind and is the grandfather of the modern 3D RPG. It really deserves its flowers. But Majora's Mask? This is a piece of art. Yeah, it's a video game. Yes, it has its video game moments where you can fall off a cliff and just walk away with your legs working. But the way it makes you feel as you run around Clocktown, the way the music sends chills down your spine, the beautiful heartfelt moments between the scientist and his daughter, the tragic history of the Ikana and Garo kingdoms, and most of all, the Skull Boy, or Majora. His story resonates so much with me. The feeling of abandonment by those that are closest to you. It hits home in a way that a painting does. How it stops you in your tracks and makes you look into dead space alone with your thoughts. So, does Majora's Mask give Ocarina of Time a deserved sequel and the N64 a send-off that it deserved? Yes, I believe it does. It takes everything Ocarina did and does it better. It provides a meaningful and deep story that resonates with the player. It provides an unforgettable atmosphere that it's most known for even today, 25 years later. This game stands on its own 2 feet and deserves every bit of praise it gets. Well, welcome to the end of the video. Congratulations if you made it this far. I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, take a look at the Ocarina of Time video. I want to thank everybody who watched that and gave it time. It's 1 hour long, but so many people watched it through, and I just cannot believe that you sat there and listened to this voice talking about video games. I feel really honored and thrilled that so many people took a look at it. I hope you enjoyed the Majora's Mask video. There's going to be more like this on the channel. I'm working on Wind Waker right now. You know, in the future I've got like after the Zelda games, of course, Mario and all the other games I've missed, Kingdom Hearts, some of my old childhood favorites like Sly Cooper. I got a lot of ideas is what I'm saying, so I'm gonna be trying to make those videos on this channel. I have a day job, so I gotta kind of balance everything, but I'm really enjoying my time here. I'm really enjoying reading the comments. I just really want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, whether you're new here or if you're coming back, or if you're from like a couple years in the future and my channel is blown up, or I have a couple more subscribers, you know, anywhere, any timeline, any region, anywhere you're watching this from, just, you know, a big thank you from the bottom of my heart.